Thank you to all of our sponsors: the Comfort Area Foundation, Calibri Magic, America Reclaimed, Hotel Giles, Singing Water Vineyards, Das Greenhouse, and everyone who supports comfort in building Texas.
Gary and Barb, thank you all for joining me today. I'm excited to talk about comfort, and in this part of the presentation, it's really about the past of comfort. And I couldn't think of a better couple to talk to than a couple that's just gotten a historical marker awarded for your home. I think you're the sixth generation or sixth founding family to live in this home and founding family of Kendall County. And really, we want to talk about the heritage of comfort, and you've experienced a lot of comfort. Gary, you were born here, and I love the fact that your first language was German, and a callback to the history and culture of the area. So help me understand, how did we get to comfort today? Where did you come from? Where did you move from?
I grew up in the military. I moved many times and got used to the ritual of settling in, learning what was going on, meeting people, getting involved. And my parents would always tell us as we moved that make sure you always, when we go from one to the next, you belong to some organization and you participate in some activity, because that's how you really get to mingle. So in spite of all the 10 schools, I would tell you that every move was really fun for me. And I got to meet people and I loved everywhere. And through all that moving, I ended up being actually in San Antonio at college there at Incarnate Word, and I met Gary when he was in pilot training at Randolph. And he was just finishing, I guess, in the middle of his pilot training year when I met him. And I'd never been to Comfort, and I didn't even know what Comfort was because there was no I-10. This was back in 1969, 1970. So it was a real adventure to venture out and see what open land was when you drive out a dirt road and go and find a little ranch house situated somewhere in the open, which is what you see in the movies. But that's where Gary grew up. And so that's how I met Gary.
What did that look like driving from San Antonio to Comfort in 1969? Is it a dirt road?
Dirt road, barren, not much around. I mean, all the vegetation, trees, greenery, creeks. You'd see those little bridges, that would go over the creeks, but there was no I-10, so it was the old Highway 87 or whatever that. I think it was Highway 87. Yeah, it was a little two-lane, maybe three-lane road that you'd drive down to come up to Comfort, and then when you'd get on it, you'd actually go over the old bridge, which now is no longer because the new bridge came over and made a huge difference. The lower bridge was down into the creek when you would come into town, and it would rise up, with waters and flood rains that would come in. So I over the river and through the woods. That's
about Comfort, Texas.
That's kind of what it was for me. And then that's how I met Gary's family.
My great-grandfather came here in 1853 before the town was founded. He was one of the first 4 families that arrived here.
How did he end up in Comfort, Texas? Do you know?
Well, that's a good question. It's interesting. You look at all these small towns around here. They're all close to water.
Yep.
Every one of them. That were originally so Comfort. We have the Cypress Creek and Guadalupe River. So that was the appeal for them to come here.
And that's what fed the early farming community of
Correct.
Comfort.
Yeah.
We talk about farm and ranch today, but farming in particular is close-knit community living.
Absolutely.
So how did Comfort really form off of your, what would that be, your great-great-great-grandfather?
My great-grandfather, yeah.
How did it form? What did that look like? And what really was the catalyst to Comfort?
Well, at that point, it was, like I said, agriculture, a lot of ranching. He ran a lot of cattle. and people, sheep, goats. It was an agricultural community for the most part, but it had all the elements that could support people living in this area. Little stores around, and we had car dealerships, we had stores, we had gas station, and Comfort was self-sustaining at that time, in those days.
It had to be because it was so far from everything.
Right.
And then the transformation occurred when the railroad came through.
Right, and that was in 1887. Made a huge difference for Comfort, but also for the greater community. So there were 3 freight trains that came in every day, and it brought in lumber, it brought in cement, and then it also provided a market for the agricultural products to sell in San Antonio. That was grain, wool, livestock, and a whole host of other Cypress wood.
There's a great history around Angora goats in Comfort,
Right.
That I've learned a lot about. But it seemed as a farming and ranching community, the railroad was key because it allowed that market to occur.
Yeah, it opened a larger market to the Comfort area, and also it introduced Comfort to a big community that thought this was just amazing down here.
So they take the passenger train and spend the weekend in Comfort.
Spend the weekend. So that's why hotels started coming up, and they'd actually bring people in so they could stay over the weekend. So
as we think about how Comfort evolved, Comfort is still not a city.
No.
It's often mischaracterized as the city of Comfort, but it is a
census designated place.
Census designated place of Comfort, Texas.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means it's the geographic boundary that identify the population inside that, and then the activity, the age, ethnicity, and the occupation.
So we know who lives here. We have a demographic understanding of who lives here.
Right.
But with the market changing, so the train was a great place for commerce to occur.
Right.
Then the highway came in.
Right.
And what did the highway do to Comfort? What is that? What stage does that set?
It actually opened up Comfort to the outside world, because before we had, as I said, we had automobile dealerships, gas stations, and then all of a sudden people realized they could go to Boerne or Kerrville or even San Antonio and Fredericksburg and purchase things that you couldn't get here.
Or at a different price than what you would get
price
here.
too. That's correct.
So I imagine that opened up people to leave the community and spend money elsewhere.
Correct.
When do you think that happened? Like, what generation would that have been for Comfort?
I would, probably in the 1970s, 80s.
Yeah.
And then through the 90s, it just opened up. And a lot of people moved here, though, because they were trying to get away from a big city and all the rigmarole and the traffic. And this was one of the places where you can walk down the street and not in the middle of the street. That's okay. People, they just go around you. They won't try to hit you.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was out on High Street this morning walking up and down, amazed that there's really no traffic. 8 o'clock in the morning, I can walk into the local coffee shop. It's not a line around the corner. It's peaceful.
Well, Barb and I walk a lot. So every 30-minute walk turns into an hour and a half because the people stop and want to chat.
Yeah.
So, growing up here, you just know a lot of people, and Barbara does too.
Well, Barb, going back to your experience, and I think the great wisdom of being involved, you've both served the Comfort community in many capacities, but Barb, you've served the school board, I think is probably one of your proudest accomplishments. What does the school in Comfort look like?
Wow. Honestly, I couldn't give you a good accounting now. I would tell you when I was in school board, it was like 2004 to 2012. That was kind of when there wasn't a lot of extra spacing for some of the developing courses that the school wanted to do. So in mind of budget, that was a big forerunner for us, was to try to see if we could get some more space for the pre-K classes that had no place to meet, labs for sciences, because we didn't have that in the high school so much, where it would be a real benefit with the increase in the educational requirements. And And as far as the growth of the school itself, I think the population pretty much has maintained itself. I don't think that it's grown. It might have decreased a little. I know that when they worked on the budget, they allowed for monies for increase of some population, but it never really went up significant enough that it would make a difference. And I think that, just from my knowledge of the teachers that are available and the kids that participate and what we read about, the school's pretty much the same as far as size. It hasn't grown into, it's a 3A, I think now. It went from a 2A to a 3A when I was there.
That's interesting to me because further south we see Boerne and then San Antonio.
Right.
And they've seen significant growth in their school district
Right.
and in their population. Comfort has seen a growth in population, but it seems to be people that are escaping. They're looking for more elbow room,
Right.
and they're looking for a callback to the heritage of the area.
Yeah.
When we think about that, I'm conflicted because the kids coming out of the school district today, what is that education preparing them for? And what does work look like in Comfort?
Yeah.
It's gone from farming and ranching, but how do we sustain that heritage?
What I think is interesting about the school, which is they now have prepare kids for technical skills or direct work, building trades. They still always had vocational ag, but there's some IT. There's a number of curriculums that prepare kids for not necessarily going to college, but
Trade
having
school.
a trade school.
And that was part of that bond, too.
That's an incredible legacy to live or to leave
Yeah.
because trades are so important. And out here, that's how you'll restore revenue to your farm and
Right.
ranch.
Right.
It's interesting. Somebody can become an electrician or any kind of plumber,
Painter.
and have a very vibrant life.
Yeah.
And really become wealthy if they really know how to do it and build and grow their business.
And you can do that locally.
Yeah,
We
that's
can.
correct.
Yeah, which is a benefit. I mean, it's a real plus for the school. And in the school, most of the population are people who need the skill developments because that's where their talents are, and that's where they can grow and be recognized for what they can provide for the community. So it's great opportunity for learning for them so that they can, pay back to the little community that we are in ourselves.
One of the other conversations that we often have around service and giving back
Right.
in Comfort is, again, a callback to the freethinker mentality of
Take
there-
care,
there's
take
not-
care of your own.
Take care of your own. There wasn't a desire for organized government, but there was a culture of taking care of your own. And you were both shining examples of that. I know you still deliver Meals on Wheels and are active in the nonprofit side of Comfort. What does that look like in the future, and what is the call to action that you would put onto the community for all of our service nonprofits?
Good question. We have a lot of people who are moved here and they want to get involved, but they don't have a real history in the community. And I think their intentions are good, but sometimes maybe they're focused on something they want to do, and it's rather than what does the community need. I don't mean that it sounds negative, but it's not, because you're a product of your own background, your environment. And so they come here and they want to duplicate what they've come from. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it's just does not.
So what I see is just, I would call the medium age of people with families of some age. Some of those people that grow here in Comfort, and they are going to naturally want to be a part of making something grow here for the town itself, but they participate in 50s, that generation of people, 45, 50, I would say we don't have those groups of people as much come in that want to really initiate something to help sustain or grow Comfort into something more than what it is. We had a lot of that happening when we first got here. That was, back 25 years ago, where people would come and just open up all kind of businesses, and it was wonderful. But that thrust seems to not be as present as it was in the past. And I think I don't know which generation of people is going to do it. I don't think it's our age, because we've done those things and we're done. But we look down to the people that are younger than us, hoping that, we'd see some self-starters and some of that. And we may more, but I see a need for more of that coming into us so that we can keep everything moving.
What I'm seeing is some people that went to school here and graduated, had a profession, have come back, but they're older, honestly. But people have an affinity for the communities that grew up here.
Well, I'd welcome people when they move back or when they move here. It's a great opportunity to get involved. And your early wisdom from your dad about get involved, get in a sport, getting into an organization, I think that's a call for adults that move to the area too, whether it be the Chamber of Commerce, the Comfort Heritage Foundation, the Comfort Area Foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a number of organizations, but it's all filling a void of organized, what we would see in other cities around organized government.
Correct.
And it's a wonderful call to the reason you move here is for the space and independence.
Right.
But there is a need to take care of your neighbors, your friends, and your family and create
That still
a
exists.
beautiful community that exists today.
And the more you get into something, the more you learn, not just from the people, but from what they know and the things that they have skills with. And I think it's just a double bonus, like the double stamps. You put something in and you get twice your money for what you give. And you learn people and you learn community and you build a family.
Yeah. And Comfort has so much opportunity, whether you look south to Boerne and San Antonio or north to Kerrville. Kerrville, the airport here, is doing tremendous things.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the call to trades, because that is what's going to help us keep the larger ranches intact, because they learn to run a trade business that keeps that in the family. Or they find great opportunities that are moving here, like OWE, where they're really supportive of creating a future that's sustainable and allows people to work and live in the area that is Comfort, Texas.
Across the board.
Across the
too. I mean, it's no class system, it's no age system, it's across the board. They can take people and use them and train them.
But it's interesting. I'm thinking people. I'm thinking Rusty Sala.
Yeah.
He's from here. He's a great builder, and he's helped us many times over. So his influence is he takes care of people.
And it's incredible when you find leaders like that are in their career and have the talents and skills to give back and help the people that are here working to build a beautiful Comfort and create an opportunity for that next generation.
Yeah. So there's some people here who have air conditioner specialists. And we're fortunate we have those talents here locally, plumbing.
1887 Comfort without air conditioning sounds scorching.
It was.
I imagine.
But we had a fan in our house.
Ooh. Keep you cool.
And I got to sleep on the porch. So
Well, I so appreciate the conversation and all of your service to the community. In our closing conversation, where do you want to see the community progress? Where should the focus for the leaders in the community be over the next generation?
Wow.
She's a smart one.
I just think community involvement is what it is. I wouldn't know what direction it should go, because I think it sustains itself the way it is. It doesn't. It acknowledges the groups, the ethnic groups that we are. It includes everybody. Our churches, are a great venue. That was the one thing Comfort had, that in the forefront, that is how you really got to know people, was through the churches, the activities, the social events. Participation is the name of the game, and that's how you learn and how you think of what you need to do to grow. I think people like it the way it is, because it's comfortable and because you can live and you can be and you can grow with others, and that's what I see the real plus of Comfort.
I don't see a real surge in population, so I think as long as people who move here start recognizing community service is important, philanthropy is very important, and we believe in that a lot. And so do some other people. So philanthropy helps support a lot of nonprofits and others as well.
Well, Gary and Barbara Lindner, thank you so much for how you're building Texas, and thank you for spending time with me on your porch this morning.
Well,
My pleasure.
it was a pleasure. Thanks for being here with us, Justin.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you to all of our sponsors. Our lead sponsor, the Comfort Area Foundation, Colibri Magic, Hotel Giles, America Reclaimed, Singing Water Vineyards, and Das Greenhouse, and so many others who have contributed to building a bright future for Comfort, Texas. To learn more, visit our website, buildingtexasshow.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook at Building Texas.